The chamber was enormous, built to hold representatives from 300 different species. Captain Taemin stood beside Ambassador Park Yuna, watching as alien beings filled the floating platforms around them. Some had wings, some had tentacles, and some looked like walking crystals. This was the Galactic Council, the place where civilizations came to solve their problems without war. Taemin had been a soldier for 20 years before becoming a diplomat. He knew how to read a room. And right now, this room felt dangerous. The other species looked at the human delegation with barely hidden contempt. To them, humanity was new, young, and foolish. Ambassador Park Yuna stepped forward to speak. She was a small woman, but her voice carried across the vast chamber. "Honored Council," she began, "I come before you with evidence of attacks on neutral trade routes. The Vaxil Empire has destroyed 17 cargo ships in the past month. These ships carried no weapons. They were civilian vessels." She displayed holographic images of the destroyed ships. The wreckage floated in space, torn apart by powerful weapons. Bodies drifted among the debris. From across the chamber, a deep growl rumbled. Warlord Kreeth rose from his platform. He was massive, easily 3 meters tall, with scales like armor and claws that could tear through steel. The Vaxil were an old species, conquerors who had dominated their section of the galaxy for 2,000 years. "The human speaks of trade routes," Kreeth said, his voice dripping with mockery. "But those routes pass through Vaxil territory. We claimed those systems 50 cycles ago. If weak species refuse to acknowledge our dominance, they pay the price." Ambassador Park remained calm. "Those systems were designated as neutral space by this council. Treaty 447 specifically. Treaties are for those with the strength to enforce them," Kreeth interrupted. He looked directly at Yuna, his eyes cold and reptilian. "Humanity hides behind words and papers. You have been part of this council for only 200 cycles. You control a mere 47 star systems. You are children playing at civilization." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some species nodded in agreement. Humanity was indeed young compared to civilizations that had existed for millions of years. Taemin felt his jaw tighten, but he remained still. He had warned Yuna this would happen. The council respected strength and age, not justice or law. The overseer, an ancient insectoid being named Thulnara, raised one of her many limbs. "The council has heard both positions. Warlord Kreeth, the humans raise valid concerns about neutral space violations." Kreeth laughed, a sound like grinding rocks. "Then let them enforce their concerns. Let them send their tiny ships to stop us." He leaned forward, his massive frame towering over the chamber. "But they will not. Because humans are soft, they are prey species who stumbled into space travel by accident. They talk of peace because they lack the strength for war." Ambassador Park's expression did not change. "We seek peace because we choose peace. There is a difference between cannot and will not. Is there?" Kreeth's lips pulled back, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "I think humanity simply fears what real civilizations are capable of. You have never faced true conflict. Your homeworld has not seen war in 200 cycles. You have grown weak and comfortable." Thulnara clicked her mandibles. "Warlord Kreeth, threats against council members are—" "I make no threats," Kreeth said. "I state facts. The Vaxil Empire is expanding. We need resources, territory, living space for our growing population. The humans occupy systems rich in minerals that we require. I come before this council to offer them a choice." The chamber fell silent. Every being present turned their attention to the Vaxil warlord. "Humanity will surrender 12 frontier colonies to Vaxil control," Kreeth announced. "These colonies will be evacuated within 30 cycles. The humans will leave all infrastructure intact. In return, we will not pursue further expansion into human territory." Taemin could not stay quiet any longer. "And if we refuse?" Kreeth looked at him as a predator might look at an insect. "Then we will take them. And we will not be gentle about it. Your people will learn what happens when prey tries to deny predators their meal." Ambassador Park turned to the council. You cannot allow this. This is extortion. This violates everything the council stands for. Thulnara's antennae drooped. The council must consider all perspectives. The Vaxil Empire has been a member for 3,000 cycles. They have rights to expansion under the colonial growth protocols. Perhaps a compromise can be reached. A compromise? Yuna's voice rose slightly, the first crack in her calm exterior. They are demanding we surrender worlds with 40 million human citizens. There is no compromise in that. An alien being that looked like a floating jellyfish spoke up. Perhaps humanity could relocate those citizens. The Vaxil need the resources, not the people. Relocate 40 million people? Taemin could not believe what he was hearing. Where would they go? How would we move them? The jellyfish being pulsed with light. That is a human problem, not a council problem. Kreeth spread his arms wide. The council sees reason. Humanity. You have 30 cycles to evacuate your frontier colonies. After that, Vaxil forces will claim what is rightfully ours. This is our final offer. Refuse, and face extermination. Ambassador Park looked around the chamber, searching for support. She found none. The older species looked away or remained silent. The younger species dared not speak against the powerful Vaxil. Finally, she bowed her head slightly. The human delegation must consult with our government. We request time to respond. You have 30 cycles, Kreeth said. The same time you have to evacuate. Choose wisely, little humans. Choose peace over annihilation. As the council session ended, Taemin and Ambassador Park left the chamber. They walked in silence until they reached their private shuttle. Once inside, Yuna collapsed into a seat. They will not help us. The council fears the Vaxil too much. Taemin sat across from her. We need to prepare the colonies for evacuation. Even if we refuse his demands, we should get civilians to safety. And then what? We let them take our worlds? We surrender? We surrender. Taemin was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was low and hard. I spent 10 years serving in the defense fleet before I became a diplomat. Do you know what we learned in tactical training? What? That humanity stopped having wars on Earth not because we forgot how to fight, but because we became too good at it. We scared ourselves into peace. He looked out the window at the stars. The Vaxil think we are weak because we choose diplomacy. They do not understand that we choose it precisely because we know what the alternative is. Yuna studied his face. What are you saying? I am saying we should evacuate the colonies. We should prepare our people. He turned to look at her. And then we should send a message to Earth. The military needs to be ready, because I do not think the Vaxil will stop at 12 colonies. As their shuttle departed the station, neither of them noticed the Vaxil spy drone that followed them. Kreeth was already moving his fleets into position. To him, humanity's careful diplomacy was proof of their weakness. He would soon learn how wrong he was. The colony world of Meridian 7 was beautiful. 3 small moons hung in the purple sky, and fields of golden wheat swayed in the gentle wind. 3 million people called this place home. They were farmers, teachers, engineers, and families who had built a peaceful life far from Earth. Sung-ho stood in his field, watching his daughter Mina chase butterflies. She was 7 years old, with bright eyes and a laugh that made him smile even on his hardest days. His wife had died 2 years ago, and Mina was everything to him now. Papa, look, Mina called out, holding up a blue butterfly. It landed on my hand. Sung-ho walked over to see. That is a moon butterfly. They only come out when the sky turned white. An explosion shook the ground so hard that Sung-ho fell. He grabbed Mina and pulled her close as a wave of heat washed over them. When he looked up, he saw ships in the sky. Massive ships, dark and angular, with weapons that glowed red. The Vaxil had arrived. In the colony's research center, Dr. Lee Hana stared at her screens in disbelief. 20 Vaxil warships had just dropped out of hyperspace directly above the colony. They had not sent any warning, they had not tried to communicate. She activated the emergency broadcast. "This is Dr. Lee Hanna at Meridian Research Station. Vaxil ships are in orbit. I am attempting first contact. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help." She opened a channel to the Vaxil fleet. "Vaxil ships. This is Meridian 7. We are a civilian colony. We have no military presence. Please respond." A face appeared on her screen. It was Vaxil, with cold eyes and a cruel smile. "Human, we are not here to talk. We are here to teach your species a lesson." "What lesson? We have done nothing to." The transmission cut off. A moment later, the first bombs fell. Colonel Choi Ji-woo was at the colony's small defense post when the attack began. He had 12 soldiers and 3 outdated defense guns. Against 20 warships, they were nothing. "Colonel, what are your orders?" his second-in-command asked, voice shaking. Ji-woo looked at his screens. The Vaxil were not targeting the defense post. They were not hitting military targets at all. They were bombing residential areas, schools, hospitals, farms. They were killing civilians. "Get every evacuation shuttle we have in the air," Ji-woo ordered. "Fill them with children first. Move now." He activated his communication link to the defense fleet. "This is Colonel Choi Ji-woo, Meridian 7. We are under attack by Vaxil forces. Heavy civilian casualties. We need immediate assistance. Please respond." "Static. Defense fleet. Do you copy? We need help. They are killing civilians. Please, anyone, respond." Nothing. The defense fleet was 3 days away at maximum speed. Meridian 7 would be dead long before they arrived. Sung-ho ran through the streets carrying Mina. Buildings exploded around them. People screamed. Fire raged everywhere. He saw his neighbors, friends, people he had known for years, torn apart by the bombing. "Papa, I am scared," Mina cried, burying her face in his shoulder. "I know, sweet one, I know. Just hold on to me." He ran toward the evacuation site, where shuttles were supposed to be taking people to safety. But when he arrived, he found only wreckage. The Vaxil had destroyed the shuttles first. There was no escape. A shadow fell over them. Sung-ho looked up and saw a Vaxil dropship landing in the street. Its doors opened, and soldiers poured out. They were massive, armored, carrying weapons bigger than Sung-ho's entire body. They began dragging people from their homes. Men, women, children. Anyone they found. One of them spotted Sung-ho and Mina. It pointed at them and started walking over. Sung-ho set Mina down and stood in front of her. "Run," he whispered to her. "When I tell you, run to the forest and hide. Do not look back." "Papa, no. I love you, Mina. Never forget that. Now run." He charged at the Vaxil soldier with nothing but his bare hands. The creature swatted him aside like an insect, and Sung-ho felt his ribs crack. But Mina was running. She was getting away. He tried to get up, to draw the soldier's attention longer, but his body would not move. The last thing he saw was Mina, disappearing into the trees before everything went black. Dr. Hanna crouched in the ruins of her lab, watching the carnage through the broken windows. The Vaxil were broadcasting everything. They had set up cameras throughout the colony, recording the massacre from every angle. This was not war. This was theater. They wanted the galaxy to watch. A Vaxil transmission played across every screen in the colony, every communication device, every display. Warlord Kreeth appeared, standing in his flagship's command center. "Let this be a lesson to all who would defy the Vaxil Empire," he announced. "Humanity chose to deny our rightful claims. This is the consequence. Watch as your people die. Watch as your civilization learns its place. You are not our equals. You are prey, and we are the hunters." The cameras showed Vaxil soldiers rounding up survivors. Thousands of people, including children, were being forced onto transport ships. They were being taken as slaves, trophies to prove Vaxil superiority. Hana saw young Mina being dragged from her hiding place in the forest. screaming for her father who would never come. The attack lasted 6 hours. When it was over, Meridian 7 was a graveyard. 3 million people had lived there. Now, less than 50,000 remained alive, and most of those were prisoners on Vaxil ships. Admiral Kim Dae-jung arrived with the defense fleet 3 days later. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the screens showing what remained of the colony. The cities were craters, the farms were ash, bodies floated in the rivers. His communication officer looked at him with tears streaming down her face. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. The government wants to speak with you." The Earth Parliament appeared on screen. The Prime Minister spoke, her voice tight with barely controlled rage. "Admiral, we have sent a message to the Vaxil Empire. We demanded the return of all human prisoners within 72 hours. And their response?" Kim asked, though he already knew. "They executed 100 prisoners on live broadcast and sent us the footage. They said they will execute 100 more every day until we surrender all frontier colonies." Admiral Kim felt something cold settle in his chest. He had served in the military for 40 years. He had fought pirates and rebels. But he had never seen anything like this. The Vaxil had not just attacked a colony. They had committed genocide for entertainment. "What are our orders?" he asked. The Prime Minister's eyes were hard as steel. "The Parliament has voted." The vote was unanimous. Every single member, every single party, every single faction agreed. She paused. "We are going to war. Total war. No negotiations. No mercy. The Vaxil will learn that there are worse things than death." "Understood," Kim said. "What about the prisoners?" "We will get them back. All of them. No matter what it takes." The Prime Minister leaned forward. "Admiral, you have fought in conflicts before. This is different. This is not about territory or resources. This is about sending a message that will echo through the galaxy for 10,000 years. When we are done, every species in the universe will know one thing. You do not touch humanity." The transmission ended. Admiral Kim turned to his crew. "Set course for Earth. We are going to need the entire fleet for this." As his ship jumped to hyperspace, the galaxy watched and waited. The Vaxil celebrated their victory, certain that humanity would surrender. The Galactic Council sent messages of condolence, but did nothing else. None of them understood what was coming. Humanity had tried peace. They had tried diplomacy. They had followed all the rules, respected all the treaties, played the civilized species. The Vaxil had mistaken that patience for weakness. They were about to learn the truth. Humanity did not choose peace because they could not wage war. They chose peace because they knew exactly how good they were at war. They had spent 200 years trying to forget the darkness in their nature. The Vaxil had just reminded them. The Galactic Council chambers were in chaos. Representatives from dozens of species shouted at each other, demanding answers, proposing solutions that would never work. The human delegation's platform stood empty. Overseer Thulnara tried to restore order. "The Council must respond to the Meridian situation. We cannot ignore. The humans have recalled all their diplomats," someone interrupted. "Every single one. They closed their embassies overnight." A murmur of concern rippled through the chamber. Species did not simply leave the Council. It was political suicide. Cutting yourself off from galactic trade and protection. "Have they responded to our messages?" Thulnara asked. "No. All communication channels are closed. Earth, their colonies, their ships, everything. They have gone completely silent." "Oh?" In the Vaxil section, Warlord Kreeth laughed. "The prey runs and hides. How predictable. They will surrender within the week." But not everyone agreed. An old alien being, a crystalline creature named Velthar, who had lived for 3,000 years, spoke quietly. "I have seen many species fall in my lifetime. I have never seen one go silent like this. When prey hides, they make noise, they beg, they cry out for help." His facets glowed dimly. "This is not hiding. This is something else." Kreeth waved a dismissive claw. You worry too much, old one. Humans are weak. They proved it by running. Velthar said nothing more. But he ordered his species' ships to avoid human space. He had not lived 3,000 years by ignoring warning signs. On Earth, in a facility 3 kilometers below the surface, Fleet Admiral Kang Hyun walked through corridors that officially did not exist. This place was not on any map. No civilian knew it was here. Even most of the military had never heard of it. It was called the Vault, and it was where humanity kept its nightmares. Dr. Yoon Jina met him at the entrance to the main research bay. She was young for her position, only 35. But she was the brightest weapons designer humanity had ever produced. "Show me," Kang said simply. Jina led him into a massive chamber filled with weapons. Not the kind used in normal warfare. These were things that should not exist. Quantum disruption missiles, she explained, pointing to a rack of sleek, black projectiles. They do not just destroy matter, they unravel it at the atomic level. Anything hit by these stops existing. No debris, no radiation. Just gone. Kang studied them. "How many do we have?" 15,000. His eyebrows rose. 15,000? When did we build these? We have been building them for 60 years, sir. Every government since the Colonial Expansion Act has added to the stockpile. They all agreed that if humanity ever faced extinction, we would not go quietly. She moved to the next section. Self-replicating drone swarms. Each drone is the size of a fist. They use enemy resources to build copies of themselves. Release 1,000 drones, and within a week, you have 1,000,000. Within a month, 1,000,000,000. They can strip a planet of all metal, all machinery, everything technological. And you can control them? We can. But once deployed, they are nearly impossible to stop. The Vaxil would need to flee their entire empire to escape them. Kang felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. These weapons violated every galactic treaty ever written. Using them would make humanity a pariah, hated and feared by every other species. But after Meridian, he found he did not care. "What else?" he asked. Gina's expression grew darker. "Relativistic kinetic weapons. We accelerate a 10-ton tungsten rod to 90% of light speed and point it at a planet. The impact releases energy equivalent to every nuclear weapon humanity ever built, all at once. The planet becomes uninhabitable for 1,000 years. How many? We have launch platforms hidden in 40 systems. Each platform has 50 rods. 2,000 planet killers, Kang thought, enough to glass every Vaxil world 10 times over. They walked further into the vault. Gina showed him biological weapons that could target specific DNA sequences. Energy weapons that could ignite a planet's atmosphere. Missiles that could create artificial black holes. All of it illegal. All of it hidden. All of it ready. "We have been preparing for this day since we joined the council," Gina said quietly. "The older species looked at us and saw weakness. They thought because we stopped fighting each other, we forgot how to fight. They were wrong. We just became better at it." "Show me the fleet," Kang ordered. They took an elevator deeper underground, into a chamber so vast it had its own weather systems. And there, in hidden construction bays carved out of asteroids, was humanity's secret fleet. 200 warships floated in the darkness, each one larger and more advanced than anything in the Earth Defense Fleet. They had no names, only numbers. They carried weapons banned by the Galactic Council. Their engines could accelerate them to speeds that would tear apart normal ships. Their armor was made from materials that should not exist in nature, and every single ship was equipped with military-grade artificial intelligence, another violation of galactic law. The AI could fight faster and more efficiently than any biological crew. They never tired, never hesitated, never showed mercy. Captain Song Eun-ji stood on the bridge of Ship 01, the flagship of the secret fleet. She was 30 years old and had been training for this moment her entire life. Her family had served in the vault for 3 generations. "All systems are operational," she reported to Admiral Kang. "We are ready to deploy." Kang nodded. "What is your ship's designation?" "Officially, we do not have names, sir, but the crew calls her Retribution. That will do. In orbit around Earth, normal defense fleet ships were being refitted with the weapons from the vault, missiles that could phase through shields, energy weapons that could cut through starship armor like paper, railguns that fired projectiles at a fraction of light speed. The galaxy thought humanity had 120 warships. They were about to discover humanity had 320, and the new 200 made the old ones look like toys. But ships and weapons were only part of the preparation. In medical facilities across Earth, soldiers volunteered for augmentation programs, genetic modification to increase strength and speed, neural implants to improve reaction times, synthetic organs that could survive in hard vacuum. These programs were also illegal under galactic law. The Council feared augmented soldiers, considered them too dangerous, too close to being machines rather than living beings. Humanity no longer cared what the Council feared. Commander Beite Sung was one of the first to complete the augmentation program. He could lift half a ton with his bare hands. His reflexes were faster than human eyes could follow. His bones were reinforced with metal alloys. He could survive in environments that would kill a normal person in seconds. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized what he had become. But when he thought of the children taken from Meridian, of Sung Ho dying to protect his daughter, of 3 million innocent people slaughtered for entertainment, he knew it was worth it. "We are not the same species that joined the Council 200 years ago," he told his squad. "We tried to be better. We tried to leave our violent past behind. The Vaxil have reminded us why we were violent in the first place. Because sometimes, the only way to stop monsters is to become something they fear more." Across Earth and all its colonies, the same transformation was happening. Factories that had built farming equipment now produced weapons. Scientists who had studied medicine now designed plague weapons. Artists who had created beauty now calculated the most efficient ways to destroy enemy worlds. Humanity was at war, and they were doing what humanity did best: adapt, evolve, and overcome. Fleet Admiral Kang stood in the command center, watching as reports came in from across human space. Every ship was ready, every weapon was armed, every soldier was prepared. Ambassador Park Yuna entered the room. She looked older than she had a month ago, worn down by the weight of what was coming. "The Council is demanding we respond to their messages," she said. 30 species have sent peace proposals. Even some Vaxil client states are asking us to negotiate. "Tell them we are done negotiating," Kang replied. "We tried peace. We tried diplomacy. We tried being civilized. And now? Now we remind the galaxy why our ancestors feared each other. Why Earth had so many words for war. Why every human culture, in every age, knew how to fight." He turned to look at her. "We are going to show them what happens when you corner a predator and call it prey." 30 days had passed since the Meridian massacre. 30 days of silence from humanity. The galaxy had assumed it meant surrender. Admiral Kang activated a broadcast that would reach every species in the known universe. His face appeared on screens across 1,000 worlds. "Warlord Kreeth," he said, his voice calm and cold. "You asked what humanity was capable of. You wanted to see us fight. You will get your wish." He leaned forward. "We are coming for you. We are coming for every Vaxil ship, every station, every world. And when we are done, your species will serve as a permanent reminder to the galaxy. Do not mistake patience for weakness. Do not mistake peace for cowardice. And never, ever, threaten humanity." The transmission ended. In the Vaxil Empire, Kreeth watched the message and laughed. "The prey thinks it is a predator. How amusing. Let them come. We will crush them." His military advisors were not laughing. They had been analyzing human ship movements, and something was wrong. Scans showed 320 ships where there should have been 120. Weapon signatures that matched nothing in the galactic database. Energy readings that should not be possible. "Warlord," one advisor said nervously. "Perhaps we should prepare for..." "Prepare for what? Humans?" Kreeth stood. "Send our fleets to meet them. We will end this quickly." He did not know that humanity's first wave was already in position. He did not know that every Vaxil military installation had been mapped, every ship tracked, every weakness identified. He did not know that while he was laughing, humanity's weapons were already in flight. The war was about to begin, and it would be nothing like Kreeth imagined. The first strike came without warning, exactly as the Vaxil had done to Meridian. 47 Vaxil star systems detected incoming human fleets at the same moment. They had seconds to react before the quantum disruption missiles hit. Vaxil defense stations simply stopped existing. No explosion, no debris, nothing. One moment they were there, and the next moment there was only empty space where they had been. The effect was terrifying to witness. Matter did not explode or burn. It just unraveled, atom by atom, until nothing remained. Admiral Kim Dae-jung commanded the assault on the Vaxil military hub of Krath Prime. His fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, and immediately his weapons officers began firing. "Target their orbital platforms first," he ordered. "I want nothing left that can shoot back." The Vaxil had 60 defense platforms around Krath Prime. Within 4 minutes, all 60 were gone. The quantum missiles did their work silently, efficiently, completely. A Vaxil commander's voice crackled over the open channel. "What kind of weapons are these? This is impossible." Impossible?" Kim replied coldly. "You used those same words when you slaughtered Meridian. You thought civilian ships were impossible targets for a military empire. Now you learn what impossible truly means." The Vaxil fleet scrambled to respond, but they were too slow. Human ships moved faster, fired more accurately, and used weapons the Vaxil had no defense against. Energy beams that passed through their shields like they did not exist. Missiles that could not be intercepted because they existed in multiple dimensions at once. Railgun projectiles moving so fast that by the time sensors detected them, they had already struck. Within an hour, Krath Prime's entire defensive fleet was destroyed. Not damaged, not disabled, destroyed. 300 Vaxil warships reduced to atoms. But this was happening in 47 systems simultaneously. Captain Song Eun-ji led the assault on the Vaxil shipyards at Grath Secundus. Her ship, Retribution, was performing beyond even her expectations. The AI core processed battle data faster than any organic mind could comprehend, identifying weak points in enemy formations before they even formed. "Deploy the swarm," she ordered. Hatches opened along Retribution's hull, and thousands of small drones poured out. Each one was barely larger than a fist, but they moved with frightening purpose. They swarmed over the Vaxil shipyards like locusts, tearing apart construction frames, draining fuel reserves, dismantling everything they touched. The Vaxil tried to shoot them down, but for every drone destroyed, 10 more appeared. The swarm was already replicating itself, using materials from the shipyards. In minutes, thousands became millions. A Vaxil commander broadcast a desperate plea. "We surrender. Please, we surrender." Eun-ji checked her orders. Humanity had issued clear instructions. Accept no surrenders until all military capability was eliminated. The Vaxil had killed 3 million civilians. They had taken prisoners and executed them for entertainment. They had laughed while children died. "Surrender denied," she responded. "Your empire chose war. Now you get war." The drones stripped the shipyards to nothing. Massive construction facilities that had built warships for 2,000 years were reduced to component atoms in hours. Commander Bae Tae-sung led a ground assault team to a Vaxil prison world called Torment. According to intelligence, this was where they kept human prisoners. This was where young Mina and thousands of others were being held. His augmented soldiers dropped from orbit in stealth pods, landing in the prison complex without being detected. Bae moved through the corridors with his squad, their enhanced senses picking up every guard, every camera, every security measure. They encountered the first Vaxil guards in the main corridor. The guards were massive, armed with plasma weapons, and had been told humans were weak prey. They learned differently in the 3 seconds it took Bae's squad to kill all 12 of them. Bae's enhanced strength allowed him to tear through the Vaxil like they were made of paper. His neural implants made their movements seem slow and clumsy. His reinforced skeleton meant their weapons could not hurt him even when they did manage to shoot. The squad moved deeper into the prison, eliminating every guard they found. No alarms were raised. The Vaxil never knew what hit them. In the deepest cells, they found the prisoners. Thousands of humans, malnourished, scared, traumatized. Men, women, and children taken from Meridian and other human colonies the Vaxil had raided. Bay found Mina in a cell with a dozen other children. She was curled in a corner, holding a photograph of her father. When she saw the human soldiers, she did not move. She had learned not to trust anyone. "Mina," Bay said gently, removing his helmet so she could see his face. "We are here to take you home." Her eyes widened. "Home?" "Yes, all of you. We are getting every human out of here." He extended his hand. "Your father. He would want you to be safe. Let us help you." Mina took his hand, and tears began streaming down her face. Around them, other prisoners were crying too. Not from sadness, but from relief. They had thought they would die here. Now, they were being rescued. But Bay's mission was not just rescue. Once the prisoners were secured on evacuation ships, his squad had another task. "Plant the charges," he ordered. "This entire facility needs to be dust." The prison world of torment exploded 6 hours later. Every building, every cell, every torture chamber was reduced to rubble. Bay watched from orbit as the facility that had caused so much suffering disappeared in flames. "One down," he said. 46 more prison sites to hit. Across Vaxil space, the pattern repeated. Human forces struck with overwhelming power. They rescued every prisoner they could find. They destroyed every military installation, and they did it all with a cold efficiency that terrified the galaxy watching. The Galactic Council tried to intervene. Overseer Thulnara broadcast a message to the human fleet. "Please, you must stop this assault. The Vaxil are requesting negotiations. They wish to discuss terms." Ambassador Park Yuna, now serving as the civilian liaison for the military, cut her off. The Vaxil requested nothing when they bombed Meridian. They offered no terms when they took our people as slaves. They showed no mercy when they executed prisoners for entertainment. Her voice was ice. "Tell me, Overseer, where was the Council when we begged for help? Where were you when our people were dying?" Thulnara's antennae drooped. We could not act without consensus, and now you watch as we act without your permission. The Vaxil chose this. You chose this by your inaction. Now witness what happens when prey becomes predator." The Vaxil Empire tried to mount a counterattack. Warlord Kreeth gathered his remaining fleets and launched them at human positions. It was the largest Vaxil armada ever assembled. Over 800 warships. They encountered Admiral Kim's fleet near the binary stars of Vakresh. The Vaxil outnumbered the humans 3-1. Kreeth was confident this would be where he turned the war around. The battle lasted 17 minutes. The human fleet deployed relativistic kinetic weapons. Tungsten rods accelerated to 90% of light speed tore through Vaxil battle formations. Each impact released the energy of 100 nuclear weapons. Shields meant nothing. Armor meant nothing. The rods passed through Vaxil ships like they were made of tissue paper. 800 Vaxil warships were destroyed. The human fleet took minimal damage from debris. Kreeth watched from his flagship as his empire's military might was systematically annihilated. His advisors were screaming at him to retreat, to surrender, to do anything to stop the slaughter. "This is impossible," he kept muttering. "They are prey. They are weak. They cannot do this," but they were doing it. In 3 weeks, humanity had destroyed 60% of the Vaxil military. Every shipyard was rubble. Every defense platform was gone. Every military installation had been reduced to atoms. The Vaxil sent surrender offers. They offered to return all prisoners, to pay reparations, to withdraw from all disputed territories. They begged humanity to stop. Fleet Admiral Kang received the surrender offers and deleted them without reading. "We are not stopping until they cannot threaten anyone ever again," he told his commanders. The Vaxil wanted to exterminate us. Instead, they are going to learn what extermination actually means. The human fleets pushed deeper into Vaxil space. They were heading for the homeworld now. The heart of the Empire. Every Vaxil citizen watched in horror as human ships appeared in system after system, unstoppable and merciless. Commander Bay rescued Mina and 40,000 other prisoners from the various Vaxil prison sites. They were evacuated to human medical ships, where doctors worked around the clock to treat their injuries and trauma. Mina sat in a medical bay, safe for the first time in a month. A counselor sat with her, trying to help her process everything that had happened. "Where is my papa?" Mina asked quietly. The counselor's expression was gentle but sad. "Your father. He did not make it, sweetheart. But he made sure you got away. He loved you very much." Mina nodded, fresh tears falling. "I know. He told me to run. He told me he loved me." She looked up at the counselor. "Are we winning? Are we making them pay for what they did?" "Yes," the counselor said. "We are." "Good," Mina whispered. "Papa would want that." In orbit around the Vaxil homeworld, the entire human fleet assembled. 320 warships surrounded the planet where the Vaxil species had originated. Billions of Vaxil citizens looked up at their sky and saw death waiting. Warlord Kreeth broadcast one final message from his bunker on the surface. He looked different now. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that looked like fear. "Please," he begged. "Spare my world. Spare my people. We surrender. We will do anything. Just please stop." Admiral Kang appeared on every screen across the Vaxil homeworld. He looked at Kreeth with cold, dead eyes. "Did you spare Meridian when they begged? Did you show mercy to the children you murdered?" He leaned forward. "You wanted to show the galaxy what happens when prey defies predators. Now, we show the galaxy what happens when predators wake up the wrong prey." The fleet prepared to fire. The weapons did not fire. Warlord Kreeth waited in his bunker, surrounded by what remained of his command staff, expecting death. The human fleet hung in orbit like a promise of destruction. But the missiles did not launch. The planet-killing weapons stayed silent. Instead, humanity did something worse. Fleet Admiral Kang broadcast his message across all Vaxil worlds, all stations, every ship, every communication device in their empire. "The Vaxil Empire dies today," he announced. "Not your people, not your worlds. But your ability to ever threaten another species ends now." What followed was the most systematic destruction of military capability in galactic history. Human forces did not bomb cities or kill civilians. They destroyed something far more important: the infrastructure of war. Every Vaxil shipyard was reduced to atoms. Every military academy was demolished. Every weapons factory was stripped to foundation. Orbital defense platforms, missile silos, artillery positions, armories, training facilities, research centers, all of it was methodically erased from existence. Captain Song Eun-ji led her ship through Vaxil space, using the self-replicating drones to consume every piece of military technology. The drones were programmed to identify and destroy anything that could be used for war. They left civilian infrastructure untouched, but anything military simply ceased to exist. Within a week, the Vaxil Empire had no ships, no weapons, no means to wage war. They still had billions of citizens, still had their cities and farms and homes, but they were completely defenseless. Then humanity did something that terrified the galaxy even more than the destruction. They built a cage. Around every Vaxil world, human forces deployed autonomous defense satellites. These satellites were powered by the stars themselves and would remain functional for centuries. They monitored everything leaving the planet. If any ship tried to leave with weapons, if any vessel exceeded certain speed limits, if anyone attempted to build military-grade technology, the satellites would respond. The response was always the same: complete destruction. "You will never leave your worlds armed again," Admiral Kang told the Vaxil leadership. "You will never build a war fleet again. You will never threaten another species again. These satellites will watch you forever. Try to disable them, and more will replace them. Try to leave your systems with weapons, and you will die." Your empire is over. Your species will live, but only as a reminder of what happens when you provoke humanity. It was a prison without walls. The Vaxil were free to live their lives, to farm and build and create. But they would never again travel the stars as conquerors. They were trapped in their own systems, able to watch the galaxy but never again able to threaten it. Some called it mercy. Others called it a fate worse than death. Dr. Yoon-Jina had one final task. She led a team to every surviving Vaxil, including Warlord Kreeth himself, and administered a genetic marker. It was harmless, did nothing to harm them, but it altered their DNA in a specific, traceable way. This marker will pass to every child you have, she explained to the captured warlord. Every Vaxil born from this day forward will carry it. 10,000 years from now, when your descendants have forgotten why you are trapped in these systems, this marker will remain. It will tell anyone who scans them. These are the people who provoked humanity. This is what became of them. Kreeth stared at her with hollow eyes. His empire was gone. His military was destroyed. His species was branded with shame that would last forever. We were wrong about you, he whispered. You are not prey. No, Gina agreed. We never were. You just did not know how to see predators that choose not to hunt. The trial of Warlord Kreeth was broadcast across the galaxy. He stood in a human court, facing the families of those killed at Meridian. There was no dramatic speech, no grand pronouncement. The evidence was presented, the verdict was given, and sentence was passed, execution. But humanity gave the families a choice. They could let human authorities carry out the sentence, or the families themselves could do it. Mina stood among them. She was 8 years old now, thin and scarred by her time in captivity. She had watched her father die, protecting her. She had spent a month in a Vaxil prison, never knowing if she would live to see another day. The other families looked to her. She was the youngest, the one who had suffered most, lost most. If anyone had the right to decide Kreeth's fate, it was her. She walked forward to the control panel. A human officer showed her the button that would activate the chamber where Kreeth waited. You do not have to do this, the officer said gently. You are just a child. No one would blame you for letting someone else. My papa died for me, Mina said, her voice small but steady. 3 million people died because of him. He needs to know that even a child can make him pay. She pressed the button. Kreeth died instantly, painlessly. Humanity did not believe in torture, even for monsters. But they believed in justice, and justice had been served. Ambassador Park Yuna returned to the Galactic Council for the first time since the war began. The chamber was silent as she walked to the human platform. Every species present watched her with a mixture of fear and respect. The war is over, she announced. The Vaxil Empire no longer exists as a military power. They will live, but they will never again threaten anyone. We have ensured this. I leave fire. Anyone. I leave said. 74. She in screeding face. I leave 74. I leave 74. Overseer Thulnara spoke carefully. Ambassador. What you have done. The weapons you used, many of them violate council law. There must be consequences for consequences? Yuna's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. Where were the consequences when the Vaxil slaughtered civilians? Where were the consequences when they took slaves? Where were the consequences when they executed prisoners on live broadcast? She looked around the chamber. We came to this council asking for help. We followed your laws, respected your treaties, tried to be good members of this civilization, and when we needed you most, you did nothing. Silence. Humanity tried to play by the rules, Yuna continued. The Vaxil showed us that the rules only protect the strong. So we became strong. We became so strong that no one will ever question our right to exist again. She activated a holographic display showing the weapons humanity had used. Quantum missiles, self-replicating drones, relativistic weapons, genetic modifiers, autonomous defense systems, all of it forbidden by council law. These weapons exist, she said flatly. We built them in secret over 200 years. We hoped never to use them. The Vaxil gave us no choice. She deactivated the display. And we still have them. All of them. We will not be destroying our arsenal. Because you find it disturbing. We will keep every weapon, every ship, every technology we used, and if anyone threatens humanity again, we will use them again. A representative from a species called the Telkari stood. This is unacceptable. You cannot simply ignore council law and expect. We are not asking for permission, Yuna interrupted. We are informing you of reality. Humanity is no longer a minor species that you can dismiss or ignore. We are a power, and we will be treated as such. Any species that has a problem with this is welcome to try what the Vaxil tried. They can ask the Vaxil how that worked out. The chamber remained silent. No one wanted to challenge her. They had seen what humanity was capable of. They had watched as a species they thought was weak destroyed an empire in 3 months. Thulnara clicked her mandibles nervously. The council will need to discuss this development. Discuss all you want, Yuna said. Humanity will be focusing on protecting those who cannot protect themselves. We are establishing defense pacts with 15 minor species who have been threatened by larger powers. Any attack on them will be considered an attack on humanity. We are also creating a joint military force to patrol the neutral zones that the Council has failed to protect. You cannot simply take over Council responsibilities, someone protested. We can, and we will. Because you have proven you will not do it yourselves. She paused. However, humanity is not leaving the Council. We believe in what the Council is supposed to represent. We simply no longer trust the Council to actually do what it should. So we will do it ourselves. End quote. Over the next year, humanity reshaped the galactic order. They did not do it through politics or diplomacy. They did it through demonstrated power. Species that had been preyed upon by stronger neighbors suddenly found themselves under human protection. Trade routes that had been plagued by pirates were secured by human patrol ships. Commander Bei Taesung led the protection fleet, a force of 50 ships dedicated to defending the weak. His augmented soldiers became legends, appearing wherever civilians were threatened and stopping aggressors with overwhelming force. Dr. Lee Hana, who had survived the Meridian massacre, returned to science. But now she worked on defensive technologies, ways to protect colonies from ever suffering what Meridian had suffered. Admiral Kim Dae-jung retired, having served his purpose. Before he left, he visited the memorial built on Meridian 7. 3 million names were carved into black stone. At the center was a simple message: never again, never forgotten, never forgiven. Captain Song Eun-ji continued to command the Retribution, but now she used it to explore the galaxy, searching for new threats before they could become problems. The AI core that made her ship so deadly in war now made it perfect for peacekeeping. Fleet Admiral Kang Hyun remained in command of Earth's military. Under his leadership, humanity continued to build weapons, continued to prepare, continued to ensure they would never be caught defenseless again. And Mina grew up. On her 18th birthday, she enlisted in the protection fleet. She had been rescued, had been given a second chance at life. Now she wanted to make sure other children never suffered what she had suffered. Commander Bei Taesung personally oversaw her training. She was not augmented like his other soldiers, but she did not need to be. She had something they lacked. She had survived the darkness and chose to fight anyway. Why do you want to do this? Bei asked her during training. You could have a peaceful life. You could forget what happened. I will never forget what happened, Mina replied. My father died protecting me. 3 million people died because the galaxy was too weak to stop it. I cannot bring them back, but I can make sure it does not happen again. She became one of the finest officers in the protection fleet. And whenever anyone asked her why humanity was so fierce in protecting others, she would tell them about Meridian, about her father, about the price of peace. 10 years after the war, Ambassador Park Yuna addressed the Galactic Council one final time before her retirement. A decade ago, you asked what happened to the species that provoked humanity, she said. The answer is here. for all to see. The Vax'il still exist, but they will never be a threat again. They are a living monument to a simple truth. Do not mistake patience for weakness. Do not mistake diplomacy for cowardice. Do not mistake peace for inability to wage war. She looked around the chamber at the hundreds of species present. Humanity chose peace. We spent 200 years trying to forget how good we were at war. We thought we had evolved beyond our violent past. The Vax'il taught us that evolution is not about becoming weak. It is about choosing when to be strong. The Council formally recognized humanity as an apex-tier civilization, the highest designation possible. They were given permanent seats on all major committees. Their voice carried weight that no one would dare ignore. But humanity did not celebrate this achievement. They remembered why they had earned it. On Meridian 7, in the rebuilt city center, children played in parks named after the dead. Teachers taught classes about what had happened, making sure every generation understood the price of freedom. And in orbit around every Vax'il world, the satellites continued their eternal watch. The galaxy had learned its lesson. When the question was asked, what happened to the last species that provoked humanity? The answer echoed across 1,000 worlds. Complete and utter annihilation of their ability to ever threaten anyone again. It was not mercy. It was not vengeance. It was a promise that humanity would keep forever. Never again would they stand by while innocent people suffered. Never again would they trust others to protect them. Never again would they be underestimated. And in the darkness of space, human ships patrolled endlessly, ready to remind anyone who forgot.